folks. Guess what I'm going to be working with you today. We are going to make hand sanitizer. In these times of hand sanitizer shortage, chemist has work to do. So depending on what ingredients you have around the house, I'm going to show you how to make hand sanitizer from pure, almost pure 95% alcohol. And I got this on eBay along with vegetable glycerin. But around the house, you probably have isopropyl alcohol and vodka. So I'm going to do a recipe today that shows you how to make it with vodka and pure alcohol. Mostly pure. And you could do the same recipe with isopropyl. It's probably what you have around the house. I like the way that ethanol alcohol evaporates a little bit better. It's not as wet for longer than than isopropyl. They're about the same. The main thing is that ethanol is 2 carbons with a bunch of hydrogens on there and OHs, and then isopropyl has 3 carbons, so they evaporate at different rates. I also ordered online some essential oils, so you might have some essential oils floating around the house, or you could even make an extract of lavender or anything that you have around that you want your alcohol to smell like. Just pour it in your alcohol, leave it for a while, and it'll extract the compound. All right. The main challenge is that I want to make 60% solution. So I remember I looked online, and it was like, 60% is what you need minimum. 70% if you want to clean surfaces. But it turns out that if it's too high of a concentration, it doesn't work as well. It kind of like encapsulates certain bacteria and certain viruses. So you want to be between 60 and 80. I got that from the World Health Organization. Plus, it's a good way to know what the minimum concentration so you can get it to work. The problem is that here, this is 40% alcohol by volume. So you can't use just vodka as a hand sanitizer. We need to spike it a little bit. And alternatively, you can just add the proper amount of isopropyl alcohol and it'll get it to the right concentration. Or you can do this. So let's do the math. Let me walk you through the math journey. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so here's my notebook. This is actually what I did to make 60% by volume of ethanol solution. Organic chemists, we call this ETOH. It's shorthand for ethanol. This is the ethane backbone, and OH is the main functional group for alcohols. So I'm just going to call it ETOH. So I know that in my vodka solution, I have 40 milliliters of ethanol for every 100 milliliters solution. And in my my perfume alcohol is 95 milliliters of ethanol per 100 milliliters of solution. And let's just keep this honest. ETOH. Okay. All right. So I just said, okay, well, what happens if I just mix half and half of each? And I know that if I have 100 milliliters of this, I have 40 milliliters of alcohol, so put them together. So 200 milliliters of solution gives you 135 milliliters of ethanol. And that's about 67%. So really, that's not too bad. If you're in a hurry, just do that. So equal volumes of vodka and isopropyl alcohol should get you the solution you need. Done. And then you can add whatever you want. And I doubled it because I found out the volume, 1.5 did, because the total volume I need is 300 mils. So this is 1.5 times each of those volumes and 60 mils and that, and still same percent, so that's cool. But let's try to see, what if I want to get it to perfect 60%, and that's kind of how I want to do it. So I need a little conversion factor. I know that depending on the volume of the of each of these, I have different amounts of ethanol. So the way it is I start with the volume of my solution, and I have my conversion for how many liters of ethanol for how many liters of solution. That'll get me the liters of ethanol. Once I know the liters of ethanol, I can add them together, divide it by the total solution, and get my percent. So I did a few guess and checks. I said, well, you know what? This is 150 mils. What happens if I up it just 10? So I tried 160 mils of vodka and 140 mils of the perfume alcohol. That total equals 300. And I got 64, 133. And I'm like, all right, and that only changed the percentage, brought it down by 65.7. So small increments. So then I was like, you know what, screw it. Let's go to 200 mils. So this is like a guess and check version. So 200 milliliters of vodka, because it's my cheaper ingredient, so I want use more of it. and I got this many milliliters of ethanol and that many milliliters of ethanol from the pure, and I got 58.3, so I overshot it. So I was like, you know what, I could keep guessing and checking if I wanted, or I can just do the math. And I was like, all right, well, here we go. So I decided X is the volume of the perfume, and 300 minus X is the volume of the vodka. Put in my percentages as decimals, divided by 300 times 100 equals 60%, right? Because this is the amount of ethanol divided by the total volume times 100, and that should give me 60%. Look here. Why am I raising it when I can lower this? Great. Okay, cool. So I did the math. I, brought out the distributed all this business. Ended up with this here, right? Multiplied out the PEMDAS, combined my X terms, brought this guy over there, solved for X, and I got 109 milliliters of the pure-ish solution, and then the rest vodka. So that's pretty good. This is the best I can do, and this is actually true, a good thing to do, because this ethanol right here was hard to get on eBay. Crisis prices. At any rate, so I added up my total volumes, divided by 300 times 100, I got 60%. So I'm going to add about 110 milliliters of this and about 190 milliliters of vodka. So let's make the solution. All right, all that math. But it's fun because I got it perfect. All right, so I measured out the volume of my 110 milliliters of ethanol. And what's going to be important is that you don't just add one and then add the other, because they're miscible, they mix. So their total volumes are different than separate. Well, we'll see that, it's kind of fun. So we'll put them together. And the reason why they're miscible is that, they like each other. So here we go, 190. And here we go. Put it together. So, oh, I almost just added isopropyl. Oh boy, let's start over. You gotta pay attention. So here we go. So please ask your parents before you use their vodka or their alcohol, because it's good stuff. And put it together. And here you go. And if you have glycerin or not, you can add a few drops. And I'm just gonna add a few drops to this business, just to kind of moisturize it. And then I'll probably add my lavender drops in a second.